HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now, it's a major language for web authoring, and as of the time I'm writing or I'm making this video, the latest version of HTML is HTML5. Now, you might be wondering, what is HTML? What is HTML? What is HTML? Right? So, um, to explain that, HTML is one of the technologies that is used in building your website, right? Now, when we are talking about web development, we have front end and back end. And the front end talks about the technologies that are used to design your web pages. They are the technologies that you use to beautify your web page, to design the structure, to create interactivity of your web page, and all of that, right? Then the back end handles logic and the database aspect of your website or web application, right? So HTML is one of the technologies, it's just one of the technologies that helps you to create a structure of your web page, right? So now, having known all of that, another thing you have to know is HTML is likened to the human bones, right? Now, in a human being, when you have your bones and then you have the flesh, now the bones give the human the structure of the human, while the flesh adds what beauty to your body, right? So HTML is like the bony part of the human being, while the CSS is like the fleshy part of the human being, right? So basically, that is what HTML is. um Basically, that's what HTML is. Now, I don't really want to bore you with a lot of explanations on what HTML is, but if you still want to get more theory of what HTML is, you can just go to W3C and then look it up, okay? But for the purpose of this tutorial, I would like to make it sharp, short, and snappy. So basically, that is what you have to understand. HTML is um, one of the technologies that is used for front end. All right. So let's look at what IDE is. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment or Developer Environment, and this refers to the softwares that helps you to code or to write programs in whichever language you want to use or in whichever language you want to write. All right. So there are different examples of these softwares. We have VS Code, we have Notepad, we have Bracket, we have Sublime, and so on and so forth. Right now, some of you might just be wondering that, okay, I want to write or I want to design websites, but I don't have a system. Now, the solution, the thing there is, you can still program using your smartphone, using your tablet, because most of these IDEs come with, they have different versions. They have versions for system, you have versions for tablet, you have versions for your phones, right? So just look it up. Like, I know very well Notepad has also has a phone version, so you could just download it and install it on your phone, and then from there we can go on. All right. So basically, that is what HTML is, and that is what IDE is. All right. So let's move to, now we've known what HTML is, we've known what IDE is. Now let's see how we can create and save HTML files, right? So let's see how we can create and save HTML files. So the first thing, when you want to save HTML files, type in the HTML code. Then after you finish typing the code, you click on Ctrl S. Then after that, you now type in the file name and end with .html, right? So if, for instance, you want the name of your file, if you are working on a gallery page, you could save it gallery.html. If you are working on a contact page, you save it, contact.html, and so on and so forth. All right. So then after that, you now select all files if you are using Notepad. But in this tutorial, we are using VS Code, so there is no need to select all files, right? Then after that, you choose the location you want to save, and then you click on save. Now, here is a tip. Here is a tip. Now, when you are working on a large project, it's advised that you create a folder, and then in the folder you have your web pages, and then you have pictures different, and then you have whichever plugin you need in each subfolder inside a main project folder. All right. So maybe I'll cover more of that in a more detailed tutorial on HTML. But for now, let's dive into our IDE and see how we can create and save a HTML file. So I'm using VS Code, Visual Studio Code. So I'll click on File, I'll go to New File, then I'll select language, click on Select Language, and I'll type HTML. I'll click on HTML, then I'll type HTML, and then I'll choose the second one. So now this is the basic structure of your HTML page. This is how all HTML pages are supposed to look, right? So now, if you notice, we have two parts, the head section and the body section. Now, what the head section does is the head section only gives you additional information about the web page, while the body section displays the main content that is going to be visible on the website or on the web page. Right. So now, another thing you have to note is that in HTML, before you do anything, you make use of tags. Now, what are tags? Tags are commands that are used to perform operations in HTML. We have the body tag, we have the head tag, we have the title tag. Each of the tags have a specific use, right? And so no tag have like two uses because each tag have one use assigned to it. Now, in HTML, tags are usually enclosed in less than and greater than sign. Then there are some tags that have an opening and closing, while there are some tags that only have an opening and tag. All right. So let's change this title to something like tutorial.com, 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 and then we'll come inside the body section and write hello, welcome to my first um, web page using HTML. Right? So we've written this. Now the next thing is to save it, right? So now remember I said when you want to save your files in HTML, you first of all you write what you write the code, and then after you finish writing the code, you click on Control S, and then you write the file name. So this one now, I want my file name to be called first. So I'll write first.html. First.html. Make sure you remember to put this .html. If you don't put .html, you will not be able to see the result. So you write first.html and then you choose the location. I want it to be saved on the desktop. Then after that, you click on save. So you minimize this, minimize this, minimize this. Then you come to your desktop. So this is your first page. Double click on it, and it will display this. So this is the first thing you are going to see. Now remember, at when we in our source code, we came to this title tag and we said the title of this web page should be called tutorial.com. So if you go back to your web page, at the top here you will see what tutorial.com. Then hello, welcome to. So the whole of this is the only thing you wrote inside the body tag. Look at the body tag. This is what the only thing you wrote in the body tag, right? So basically, that is how to create your first web page, and that is how to save your first web page, right? So now we have successfully learned what HTML is and how we can save files in HTML. Now let's move on and see how we can use other tags to do other things in HTML, right? So the first thing we're going to do is paragraph, how to make or how to give paragraphs in HTML, right? So now let's go back to our text editor and remove this. Okay, we'll remove that. Then we'll copy this out, save it, go back to your browser, refresh. So if you notice, if you come back to your browser, you see that each of these is on a separate line, but your browser is merging all of them together. You see? So how can we make this to stand different, like to be on a separate paragraph, this to be a different paragraph, this to be a different paragraph? We make use of a tag called the P tag. P tag actually stands for paragraph, but you don't write the full paragraph, you only write P. So you come here and write P, P, and then you close it, right? So now let's copy this, paste here. So we are actually doing the same things. Paste it down here. Okay. So watch what I'm doing carefully. So if you notice, now we have a P here and then a slash P. It means the paragraph tag has an opening tag and a closing tag. Now, what is a closing tag? A closing tag of any tag is just a tag that has a backslash sign accompanying it. So the paragraph, this is your paragraph tag or the P tag, and then this is the closing of this paragraph tag, right? So each change you make, you save it, Control S, you go back to your browser, you refresh. And as you can see now, we have different paragraphs as shown on the screen for you, right? So basically that is how the paragraph tag is used in HTML. Now let's see the font size tag. Font size tag. Now, font size tag is just a tag that is used in HTML to give font size. So it ranges from H1 to H6. H1 is like the biggest font size, while H6 is like the smallest font size. So let's see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so let's change this P to H1. We change this to H2. We change this to H3. We change this to H4. We change this to H5. We change this to H6. Right, so we have H1 to H6. Now we have to change the closing tag as well. H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and lastly we have H6, H5, and lastly we have H6. Right? So now remember I said H1 is the largest font size while H6 is what? The smallest font size. You save this, you go back to your browser, you refresh, and as you can see, this is H1, this is H2, this is H3, this is H4, this is H5, this is H6. So you can see H6 is very tiny, you can't even see it very well, right? So basically that is how you make your font size in HTML, right? So the next tag we are going to look at is the break line and horizontal um, tag. Now break line is just a tag that helps you um, move your text to the next line, while horizontal line tag is a line that helps you to make or to give a horizontal line on your web page as the name implies, right? So let's go back to our VS Code editor. So let's say we want to have a line after these first two, after these first three tags, after this first H1, H2, H3 tag, we want to have a horizontal line. So you come here and write HR. So remember I said there are some tags in HTML that only have what? A closing and an opening tag. They don't have a closing tag. They are an enclosure of opening and closing tag, right? So HR and BR tags is a perfect example of such tag. You only write them once. They don't have a closing tag, right? So you come here and write HR, then you save this again, and then you refresh. So you can see there is a horizontal line differentiating the first three font sizes and the last three font sizes. So you can do that with the help of the HR tag, right? So let's look at other tags: the bold tag, italize tag, and the underline tag, right? Then after that, we look at how we can link two pages, and then lastly, we look at how to um, make a list, right? How to make a list. Okay, so let's move to back to our VS Code editor, and let's move back. Okay, so we are basically going to see how we can make our text to be bold, how we can underline our text, and how we can italize our text, right? So let's remove this. Let's make this um, let's make this H3. Let's make this to be bold. We close the bold tag there. Let's make this to be italize, and then let's make this to be underlined. Make this to be underlined. Right. I'm seeing a red line there. I think I made a mistake. Okay. So now we are cool. So you save this, you go back to your browser and refresh. Okay. So now let's make use of our BR tag so that everything will be on a separate line. BR tag. So you save this, go back and refresh. So now you can see that this first page, this first one, we said it should be what? Underlined. This one should be what? Italicized. You can see it's italicized. and then we said this one should be bold, and you can see it's bold. All right. So that is how we can make it, how to bold the text. That is how you can underline the text, and that is how you can italize the text in HTML, right? So the next thing we're going to look at is how we can link two pages in your in your website. How we can link two pages in your website, all right? So let's go back to our text editor and create create a link. A href equals, right? So this is page one. So we'll copy this out. Um, Paste. This is page two. Okay. So now this is first.html. While this should be second.html. And what I'm doing, I have this first link. I said when you click on this first page, page one, it should take you to the first page that I created. So I named the page first.html. Now I'm going to create a second page called second.html, such that if this second link is page two is clicked, it will take you to that second page. So now how this works is that you have you have this tag ahref equals this. So the whole of what is supposed to be in this double quote is the name of the page that you want the person to go to or to be redirected to anytime the person clicks on this link. So when you click on this page one, it will take you to this page. It will take you to this file. If you click on this page two, it will take you to this file. But right now we don't have this file. So let's create this second.html. You do the same thing, you go to file, you go to new file, you select language, you type HTML, then you write HTML, you choose the second option, and then from there you save. Click on save, then you choose second.html, then second.html, then it's already on the desktop. You click save, and then you go to, okay, so let's copy this so that it will be easier for us to go back and forth, right? Copy this, go back to your second.html and paste it, go back to your second.html and paste, then you save that, and then you go back to your browser and refresh. Okay, let's go back to our first and save this. Any change you make in your file, you have to save it so that you'll be able to see the effect. So you go back, you refresh, you click on page one, it will remain. Click on page two. Okay, let's make a demarcation so that you'll be able to understand when you are on each page. So this is page. Okay, hello, welcome. Hello, this this is page one. Then let's copy this out. Go back to your second page. This is page two. This is page two. Right? So you save it. Go back to your browser, refresh. So this is page 2. You click page 1, it will take you back to page 1. Page 1, I've not saved it. Let's go back, refresh. Hello, this is page 1. Click page 2, it will take you to page 2. You click page 1, it will take you to page 1, and so on and so forth. So basically, that is how you link two pages in HTML, right? So the whole idea of creating menus, home menu, contact menu, gallery menu, all revolves around linking pages or using the link page um, tag. All right. So now let's see how we can create lists in HTML. Let's see how we can create lists in HTML. You go back and then you click new file, HTML, HTML, select the second option. So now we are trying to see how we can create lists in HTML. So you for you to be able to create a list in HTML, you do that. Remember, I said anything you want to appear on your web page is going to be done inside the body section, right? All right. So now, for you to be able to create your list, there are basically two ways of creating lists. You have the unordered list and the ordered list. All right. So let's see how we can create list using the unordered, and then we also use um, ordered list to create our list, right? So now using the unordered list, we have li unordered list. So now we are going to see how we can create list using the unordered method. So using the unordered method, if you want to create an unordered list, you make use of UL. UL stands for unordered list. So you write UL, then you now use UL tag, you enclose it inside of this UL tag, you write LI. So LI stands for the list item, right? So the first item here, let's say yam. Second one, let's say beans, because I love eating beans a lot. Then the next item, let's say spag, spaghetti, right? So now we've successfully created an unordered list of three items. So you save this and let's call it list list.html. Then you click save. So now you go back to your browser. You go back to your browser and then you type type list type list.html. So you can see that we have yam, beans, spaghetti, but all of them have a dot, dot, dot. Now, what if you want to have number one yam, number two beans, number three spag? So in that case, you come back to your browser, to your VS Code editor, and then you change this to OL. OL. OL stands for ordered list. Ordered list, right? OL stands for ordered list, while UL stands for what? Unordered list. OL. Save it, you go back to your browser, you refresh, and you can see that now we have yam, one yam, two beans, three, like that. So you have successfully created a list of items that are in an ordered format, right? So now basically, So far, we've been able to uh, understand what HTML is, and we've been also able to know what IDE is, been able to grasp the concept of front end and back end. We've also looked at how we can create and save HTML files. We've also looked at how to manipulate or create and edit text using HTML. Right now, we are moving to the second to the last. Okay, the last thing in our crash course, and then after that we can now see how to upload the content online. But in case this is your first time on this channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification so that you'll be able to get notified of my next video. Alright, please support me by clicking on the subscription button there. Alright, so let's jump back straight into handling forms. Now, have you ever imagined um going online to fill a form and perform certain things like sign up and all of that? You can only create those forms using what we call the form tag in HTML, right? So the form tag, there is a form tag, and then the form tag has attributes. It works with input tag as well. So each of whatever you want to enter, each of the fields you want to create makes use of input type. So each of the input type has attributes, right? Each of the input type has attributes. So let's jump straight into this and create a new file that we can use to um, create our forms. Right, so what we are going to do is we are going to create a form or a web page that you can use for creating a sign up, more like a sign up page. Right, so let's create a sign up page. Select language HTML, then HTML, select the one with 5, then you come inside the body section and then you type form method equals we either use the get method or post method, then action equals, so let's leave the action empty. Close the form tag. Alright, so now watch what I'm doing closely. Username, input type equals, I want my input type to be text. I want the input type for username to be, okay, let's change it. Let's make it email. Then name, value, okay. Then the next one is password. Input type equals, I want this to be password. Name, value. Good. Then the last one is going to be button. So on this button, I want to have submit written on the button. Submit. Okay. Login. Login. So you save it, Control S, Then I want this to be called login. I want this to be called login. Then I'll click save. Login.html. Then I'll click save. Then I'll go back to my browser and then I will write, I'll check this and then I'll write login.html. Okay, so if you notice this, what if we want this to be on down here, this to be down? All we have to do is come here and make use of our BR tag. Remember BR tag? Right now is the time to use it. BR tag. Save it, go back, refresh, and everything is on a different line. So you enter your username, enter password, and then you click login. So because you said this should be an email, you have to write this in a format that obeys the email rule. So that is why it's not able to submit. But if you write a at, you see now it will submit, right? So basically that is how to work with forms in HTML. So you can use this to create so many other forms down here, right? So that is how to create forms in HTML. Okay. So now let's see how we can make this form to be in a table. Let's make this form to let's create our form and make it to be in a table in tables. So inside this form, you can now come here and put table. Just watch what I'm doing carefully. So here, the table normally have a table row and then table data. So this is the first table row. Create another table row. Copy this and put inside this table row, and then we'll create another table row, and then we'll copy this out and put inside this table row, right? So this is a table. This is the ending of the table tag. Watch what I'm doing carefully so you don't miss out. Table data. Copy this out and paste it here. Copy this out and paste it right there. So at the end of the day, you discover that there will be no need for you to put this BR tag again. You delete that and then you do the same thing here. Table data, copy this out, cut it rather, and paste it here. Another table data, cut this out, cut this out, cut and paste it there, paste it right there, and then lastly, last but not the least, table data, cut this out, and cut the whole of this button, cut this. I might just be creepy sometimes. Okay, paste it right there, and then create another empty table data. Yeah, exactly. You go back, you refresh this, and you can see now that this is arranged in more orderly format than it was before now, right? So that is how you make use of the table tab. Alright, so let's give this table a border so that you'll be able to know that this is actually in a table form. Let's make it one pixel, refresh, and you can see this is now in a table form. So this is your row one, this is your second row, this is your third row, this is the table data, the first table data for row one, this is second table data for row one, this is the first table data for row two, this is the second table data for row two, and so on and so forth. So you can have so many data in one row, and then but always make sure that if you are creating a 2 by 2 row, you should follow suit for all the other rows that are going to come down after the first row, right? So that is how to create a form inside the table, or that is how to create a table in HTML. All right, create what HTML is, what front end is, what back end is, how we can create a simple HTML file, and then how we can link two different HTML files, right? So now we are moving to the last section where we can actually upload or move the content we have designed offline online, so that people will be able to access what we have done not only in our system but anywhere they are. All right, so now the last part, um like I said earlier, when you want to upload your content online, first of all you need to buy a domain name and then a hosting plan, right? So domain name is just like the name that the site is going to be called. Okay, so for instance, if you want your site to be called techtutorials.com, that is going to be the domain name of that site. Or you can have originalbenedict.blogspot.com, or whichever name you choose to call it. All right. Then after that, you buy a hosting plan. Yeah, now the hosting plan um is basically like the space online where you are going to move your content to. All right. So there are different hosting companies. We have Bluehost is one of them. We have Host Now, and so many other ones. All right. So now there are also free hosting software companies rather. But in this case now, when you are using free hosting platforms, the you should only use free hosting platforms when you are test running the stuff that you built, right? But if it's going to be a serious project, I strongly advise that you make use of paid hosting platforms. All right. So now let's see how we can actually move all the files we've created offline to an online site, and then we'll be able to share this link to others for them to be able to access what we have designed. Right, so let's go back to our browser. So on your browser, you type w3schools.com. It will take you to this page, and then after that, you click on website new. Click on website new. If you already have an account, you click on login. But if you don't have an account, you click get started for free. Get started for free. Okay, I guess I'm already logged in, so I can't log out again. Okay, let me log out and log in again. Let's log out. Right, so my email, I'll enter my email and then I'll enter the associated password assigned to this. Then I'll click on login. I'm already registered, right? So, but if you're not registered, you go to this, um, you go to website new, and then you come to this place, right? So now this is my dashboard. This is my dashboard. So you click on spaces, right? So I've already created my website. It's called https://simcooltutorial.w3spaces.com, right? So now you will now come to, you click on this two files. Okay, there is no file. So you now click upload file. You click on upload files and then you will select all the files we've created. These are all the files we've created. And click open. Then all of them will start uploading. Then you refresh this. So each of the file, okay, so now look at all the files we've created have been uploaded. These are index files, these are list files, these are login files. So you now come back to your browser, Chrome tutorials or the reviews. So this is your index page. This is the index page we created that time, right? This is the index page. So let's say we want to access, okay, let's say we want to access login page. Let's say we want to access login page. Click on preview, and there is it. This is your login page. So any of the pages that you want to access, all you have to do is you click on this arrow, this dot, these three dots. You click on it, and then you click on open preview. So this is your page two. You click on this, it will take you to page one, like that, like that. So you can now copy this link and send it to anybody that want to have access to this website you just designed. Alright. So if you have any questions, leave it in the comment sections. I'm going to try as much as possible to attend to all questions. Right now, if you're a new subscriber, if you're a new visitor to this channel, please make sure you subscribe, show me some love, appreciate my work, and if you actually enjoy this video and you are looking forward to more videos, please hit on the subscription button and turn on notification so that you will be notified anytime I make new posts. Right? So that will be all for this tutorial. We've successfully looked at what HTML is, and how to save files in HTML, text formatting and editing, handling forms, tables, and uploading content online, right? So that's all for now. I will be back with another video on CSS, and then maybe later on a more detailed video on HTML.